Hi, welcome back to part 2 of Exploring North Bali, my 5 great routes to get up north. That is down here. Let's get the pointer. Okay, here we are, right? We're going to go this definitely up through the bypass, and we go down along the coast. I call this the East Coast Road. Worth visiting, Klungkung. Take a stop in Klungkung. It's a fascinating little town. I really like it. They have some really great bobby guling, if you like bobby guling. Really good bobby guling places there. And I've heard from some people that seem to be in the know that it's the best bobby guling in Bali. And you can make your way up into Padang Bai. Padang Bai is the harbor. Now, if you've been to Bali before and you've gone to Lombok or Nusa Penida or Nusa Lembongan, you know that you catch the ferry here. And if you've never been on a ferry in Indonesia, it is a trip. I took ferries routinely, regularly during the 6 years I was in Sumbawa, going back and forth to Bali. Took the ferries when I was driving the car, took the ferries when I was driving my motorcycle. It's a long trip to get over to Lombok, about 4 hours, but you meet some fascinating people. You have great conversations. Some of the good ferries have a VIP room. You can kind of kick back. It's air conditioned. You watch some dangdut videos. Okay. And some of the ferries, the guys who work there rent out their cabins to you. And so if you want to go up and get a nap, you can rent out their cabin. Some of them have bed bugs. I got bed bugs in one of them. So, Padang Bai, right? It's the harbor. But what else? I've stopped in Padang Bai and stayed there for a few days. And I've done this 2-3 times now, I guess, over the last 5 years. There's a couple of great beaches. This one was a little hard to get to. I heard that they've paved the road now that goes up, because you've got to go up over a big hill and then down. They've made it easier. When I was there, last time I was there, it was not paved. You had to walk up and walk down. Really nice little place. The ocean's right there. It can be a little dicey at times. When I was there, waves were like this. It was definitely not something I wanted to swim in at that point. So I kind of kicked back. I had a beer from one of the little warungs there on the beach, and just relaxed. It's great. Padang Bai itself is it's interesting. I like Padang Bai. It's a little Balinese town. You can look around. Gets a lot of people going through because of the ferries, locals, tourists. This is actually the route that you get. There's a path. This is where the path was. I was climbing up, looking for this beach. I didn't know where it was. I was just kind of on my own trying to find it. And the town itself is interesting. I was out walking along here, and you can see on the side, you can see the boats at the harbor. A lot of little dive places and transport to Lombok and to the islands, to the Gilis and to Nusa Lembongan, Nusa Penida. This scene reminded me of fall in the States. So I stay there occasionally for a couple of days at a little inn. It's a little more expensive than I like to pay. I'm a cheap guy, teacher for 40 years. Teachers are notoriously cheap. But I like it because it's got a bar right there and a restaurant. The food's good. The bar's well stocked. So you want to hang out and see a little bit of different life in Bali, stop and see what things are like. Now, once you get past the harbor, you go up. You got Tirtaganga, which is becoming more and more of a tourist area now, and you can see in the background Mount Agung, and the roads here are well paved, not heavily traffic, not heavily traveled, and so you can take a look around. You can see things. You can stop off to the side, take a photo or two. A lot of little places to stop and have lunch or a drink. So that's one of the reasons I like this route. Occasionally you run into some amazing ceremonies. I was on my way down one time from the north down to Padang Bai, just to have a couple of days to kick back, and I ran into the ceremony. It was huge. I ended up, after waiting in this mass of motorcycles, waiting for an hour, I just kind of pulled off to the side, got off. There was a restaurant there. I went in and had a couple of beers, some nasi goreng. Once the ceremony moved on, I was able to continue on my way. This is right by Kupatambahan. This was right by Kupatambahan, known for diving at the old Liberty ship. You can see the roads, well paved, not a lot of traffic. I really like driving down here. And you get farther up north, and this is close to a house of a friend of mine, up in either in Bukti, I guess his village is Bukti, between Bukti and Tajakula, and you see the mountains in the background here, right? And the road is not. You take a look. There's no traffic. It's great for driving. And let's go on. Some great beach scenes. Now this is away from the tourist area. You want to get away from the tourist area? This is a traditional fishing village. You can see the boats all up on the sand. Now the sand up in the north is black sand, which is one of the reasons that tourists don't necessarily like coming up here. They want to be on a white sand beach. These are great, especially if you've got kids, because the waves are not very intense. A lot of times there's no waves at all. The sea is like glass. And so, yeah, for me, it's just getting out and getting to see things. So that left us over here and then back to Kupatambahan again. I don't know, I had some photographs one time of Kupatambahan, but they seem to have all disappeared. And for me, then, so I get over here. And so that's my trip, right, that goes all the way down here. Oh, and I forgot to mention Amlapura. Amlapura is a cool place. It's well worth visiting as well. So this is just, yeah, it's just one or two. Maybe one. In fact, I'm kind of feeling like I should probably take a trip in the near future up there. And so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we get to number 5, the last one. And the last one is the most traveled route from, and the shortest, from south to north or north to south. Starting here, and we're going to go straight up through the middle of the island. Okay, but first let's take a look at there's 3 main routes to get out of the city and to get up to here. I want to get up to the Mengwi area first. Okay, so let's zoom in here. All right, and so we zoom in here, and what do we got? We've got the Nurai bypass that you can take, and you can go up this way, go through Sanur, and Gatot Sobroto, and then you connect up with the main road going up north, and you see signs saying Singaraja. That's one. That's the way I used to take all the time, especially when I was driving a car. It's a little longer, but if you want to do some shopping along the Murad bypass, there's a lot of stores there, so you can stop there. This route, which I almost never take, except if I have to go to the hospital, because the hospital I go to is over in this area here. And this is really crowded and very slow. And I only take it if I have to go to the hospital, like I said, or if I make the wrong turn, because I'm pretty bad at directions, I have to admit. And then this is the way I usually go, and you go up and on the outskirts of the city, and you go up here like this, and you're going to get up, and you get up to around here, and you run into a road marker. There's right here, you can go off to the left or right, depending on which way you're going, and it's this way, and it takes you into Kuta, and you follow along here, make the soft turn, and you go up north. Now, this road has some problems in traffic because it's the main route, and so it can be slow, especially during the tourist season. But there are some really great things to see. Local family temples, beautiful compounds. You want to see traditional Balinese compounds. And the road, you can pull off to the side, you can take some photographs. We're still in the kind of the city area. Here we're out of it. I'm not really sure what this horse is, but I like it. We just never really stopped to figure out what it is, and my brother-in-laws, when I'm driving with them, and my son-in-law don't seem to know either. But you can see the clouds, so when you get up into the hills, it rains a lot up there. And so if you're on a motorcycle, you got to be prepared for that. So let's go on, and right. So you're passing a lot of statues, and what happens? Sometimes you run into unfortunate situations. In this case, a guy was driving his small truck. It was a little overloaded. He made a sharp turn, tipped over, blocked the traffic for a couple of hours. Unfortunately, there was no place to get out and have a beer or some food. And so we just kind of sat there and smoked cigarettes and waited and waited and waited. So if I'm going from south to north or north to south, I give myself 4 hours. If there's not a lot of traffic, you can do it in 2.5 hours. Early in the morning on a motorcycle, you can do it in 2 if you're pushing it. But if I'm going to the airport, or if I've got an appointment with a doctor, I give myself 4 hours to get down there, because you run into things like this. Now, we're going to go up. We get to Mengwi. Excuse me, not Medewi. Medewi's over here. Mengwi. And Mengwi, once you get up to Mengwi, I feel relaxed because you're out of the city. Traffic has thinned out. The air is getting fresher. It's more greenery, less buildings, and you're on your way. And there's just one road to take from here to here, although that's kind of changing, and I'll explain that in a minute. Now, the thing with Mengwi is just this little place, but it was important historically in Bali. A lot of ceremonies there, and so you can get jammed up here because the road is very narrow and very short when you get to Mengwi. And so you could get stuck here. This is one of the the places where you get into a bottleneck. Now, from here, we're going to go up, 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 and we're going to be working our way up to this area, which is called, let's zoom in here. This is called the Badoogal area, generally. And what's up in the Badoogal area? Well, I hate to use Instagram words, but the iconic agricultural land, beautiful small villages, great views from wherever you want to stop, and big skies. Once you get up into the mountains, you get this great view of the whole south of the island. It still amazes me after 30 years. It's just gorgeous. And Mount Agung. So we're up here, right, and we're coming into the Badoogal area, and the road here is nice. This was early in the morning, and what do we see? Okay, we have the Instagrammable, iconic temple up on Lake Baratan, and everybody stops here to take photographs. This is another bottleneck, a lot of ceremonies up here. This is an important ceremonial area, and it's also where everybody wants to come and take photographs. So things can get slow here at times. I would recommend not driving up north during a ceremony day. Definitely not drive up north during a ceremony day. So in addition to this, what else do we have? Well, in Chandi Kuning, which is one of the villages of these collection of villages generally referred to as Badoogal, you have the fruits and vegetable market. Now, I've heard on Instagram and on TripAdvisor, tourists complaining about, oh, it's a tourist trap. They overcharge for everything. No locals ever go there. That's not true. You see this local here, who happens to be my lovely wife. She loves stopping there. If we're going north, we always have to stop because the fruits and vegetables are fresh. They're a little more expensive than buying them at home here in Singaraja, but they're fresh, and there's a lot of choices. You can see this, and despite what some people say, like, oh, well, the sellers aren't friendly. Yeah, they are. You just have to get out of this mentality of thinking people are trying to rip you off. So you're going to pay a little bit more. You've paid lots of money to get here. Quit whining. So in addition to the fruits and vegetables, you got spices, you have coffee, and tea, and you've got a lot of little tourist stuff, arts and crafts. You can see you've got the wooden wind chimes, and I have some hanging right outside my window, which you may have heard because it's kind of a windy day today, and tourist hats and postcards. People still sell postcards. I'm amazed. And you can get drinks, and there's a restaurant there, and a couple of little shops where you can get coffee, and especially for Indonesians who are freezing up here, and you'll see them in heavy jackets and gloves. You get some coffee, you get a snack, some pastry, and you head on your way. You can also find, and I don't know why I've never done this, but I've never bought any of these masks. They have some really cool masks. They're not the finely crafted masks that you'll find down in the Ubud area. But yeah, they're good, and I collect masks, mostly from Papua New Guinea, but I don't know, I've never bought masks here for some reason. Next time I go through here. And so we go on, And so we're in the Badoogal area here, right? And you've got the Twin Lakes over here, Buyan and Tamblingan. And there's a great story about this that I heard from a local guy one time. I was taking a tour group of students up here, and the kids asked, how did the lakes form? I said, I don't know. Let's ask our guide. And he said, well, the story is, once upon a time, there was a family of dragons that lived here. Mommy dragon, daddy dragon, baby dragon. Baby dragon was hungry, and mommy dragon said to the to the daddy dragon, we need some food for our new baby. And so off he flew to get some food. But he never returned. And she cried, and she cried, and she cried until the lakes were formed. True? I don't know. It's a lovely story. And so then we had our way down from here, and this is a twisty, windy road, and the government now is making kind of a bypass. It's currently under construction right now, supposed to be finished sometime next year, with the idea that it's going to increase the accessibility of Bulawayo to the rest of the island, and especially to tourists. But now it's a long and windy road, and during the tourist season, you got a lot of huge tour buses, and you get trucks. It can be really, really slow getting down, really slow. It's why I like driving a motorcycle. And so we get down eventually, and what do we see? Singaraja, my home. And this used to be a great old colonial building. Like so many of the colonial buildings in Singaraja, it was torn down, unfortunately, and they put up kind of a schlocky furniture shop. Furniture's okay, but I really miss that old building. And this was a colonial building over here as well. Singaraja has just been getting rid of them, and there's just 2 more that they got rid of in the last couple of weeks. It's a shame. There's a few left. If you want to see them, get up here now, because they won't be here in another couple of years. And so, what is Singaraja? Well, it's the capital, and it's a city that is full of ethnic groups, religions. So you can see here, this is a view from my roof. This is our local mosque, and there's mosque over here, and there's mosque over there, and there's mosque over there, and there's mosque over there. So we have a lot of Muslims in Singaraja, and right over in this way, over here, is the Chinese neighborhood, Chinese community, and Chinese temple that I'll talk about in the video on Singaraja. And then we have, of course, Hindu communities over here, over here, over here, and Christians. So we've got the Buddhists, Christians, Muslims, Hindus. Everybody gets along in Singaraja. This is probably the most multicultural city in Bali. And it's worth visiting that for nothing else. Learn how to get along with each other. And you see, of course, the mountains there in the back. And best time for me to travel. Now we have, this is not the South, but we get traffic jams, especially in this area here, this street. But best time to travel, 6 o'clock, like I said before, 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning. It's great, not lots of traffic. This is the beginning of morning rush hour, not far from my house. And, okay, so we're back here. So, we've done our five to Bulaling from the south. And what is it that's what is it that makes this place special? Like I said, we're not really modernized yet. This is where I had my first house. This road is now paved, but you want to get out in some traditional villages, get up into the hills, you'll find them. You can find people enjoying local, well, some local entertainment. This is in my company. People in the north, because we don't have all the crazy tourist stuff that are in the south. We're easily amused. Not quite as jaded as people in the south. Get out of Singaraja, head out to the west. You'll see a road like this. This goes along the coast, and you see beautiful paddies, the sea, some traditional houses made out of traditional material, and okay, we're at the airport. Why is there a picture of the airport here? Well, picture of the airport because this is the future of Bulaling. There was actually a news article right today talking about the much discussed, much defiled, much anticipated international airport in the north of Bali. And according to the news article, it's on. Of course, they've been saying this for, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years. Why are they going to make an international airport here? Because of the need to spread out the wealth, let's say. Like I said earlier at the start of the video, we don't get a lot of tourists here, nowhere near the numbers down in the south. And so the idea is with this bypass the road to make it easier to get from south to north and north to south. And with an airport, we'll have people coming in here and they will stay, and the north will develop. I don't know, is that going to happen? We don't have surf, so surfers aren't going to be happy. We don't have a huge nightclub scene. We don't have all of these. We don't have the fancy Seminyak and the Canggu hipsters. None of that stuff is here. Is it going to develop here? I don't know. It just seems, well, I hope not. Because when I think of tourists here, I like to think of tourist scenes like this. This was 30 years ago. I, like many other people that come here, hey, I'll build a restaurant and I can live off the restaurant, and that's cool. Well, I knew nothing about restaurants. We built a restaurant, a little tiny restaurant. I think we had 8 tables. But we were trying to manage it while we were living in Papua. It just didn't work out. But it was a lovely idea. And when people tell me, "Oh, I'm going to come and make a restaurant. Do you have any experience?" No, I do the eye roll. Oh, okay, been there, done that. But they don't want to hear that, because once you've got this in your head about you want to move to Bali and you can do this and do that, it's hard to say no. And so we get the tourists here. I would like to see these kind of tourists. People kick back, comfortable. None of the craziness that we've got in the south these days, with drunken tourists stealing stuff from each other, attacking locals, attacking other tourists. There are videos every day on Facebook now, it seems, of fights between drunken tourists. And Indonesians are getting pissed off. And it's like, hey, don't come here. If you want to act like this, disrespectful, crazy, stay home. Really, there's no need to come here and behave like an idiot. So I like this. I would not like to have the north become like this. And I can just see, looking around here, okay, there's some people that could be out wasted and duking it out in the street. Okay, so that's the end of my tour of Bali, my 5 routes from the south to the north. I hope you found it interesting and useful. And if you did, come back in a couple of weeks. I'm going to put up the video that I'm making right now about Singaraja, and then after that, I'm going to do a few more. I haven't quite figured out what. So, good travels. Thank you. And that's about it for today. Thanks for viewing. I'll see you in another week when I'm going to post a new video on my home, Singaraja, Bali. Happy travels.